Okay, didn't want to leave you guys hanging on this last question here for the quadratic regression that we just completed up here. Remember our formula, and I'm just copying it from up above. Looks something like this, and this is the numbers I chose when I was rounding. Again, I know I've said it a bunch of times, but make sure that you know that how you round will depend on how accurate your answers are. And if you round differently than myself or the calculator or somebody else, a friend or whatever, your answers will be different too. So part F here says use the regression equation to predict the amount of fertilizer used in a tract of land that has 11 bushels. So notice at the beginning, we decided to define X as fertilizer and Y as bushels, remember? So Y is the number of bushels, and the reason this is so important is you're going to see this on the midterm. So if you have 11 bushels, we're going to work backwards and erase this Y and instead put 11 here. Now in this case, I'm going to use my technology and I'm going to try to make it match up even better than last time. So if I switch over to my calculator once again, notice those are the values for the calculator, and we already went over on how to get the calculator to take those in. But if we use my equation, or how I rounded it, right, again, or you could do it the same way, you're going to have negative, I think it was 0.02x squared. And if I'm wrong, put your numbers in and hold strong because the process will be what really matters here. And at any time, if you have to pause the video, again, go ahead. 3.0576. Now notice that's going to give me a graph that's similar to the last one from the last video. However, the values in the maximum and the mins will be just a different hair off because of the round off again. Now, if the question on the table was again, when does it hit 11? Remember back here, you can, excuse me, you can plug in this equation, which is already there, and then also plug in y equals this quantity, y equals 11 here, simultaneously y equals the rest of that stuff. So in other words, two equations, two unknowns for your calculator, otherwise called a system of equations. And as I switch over, really what I'm trying to suggest is go down here and type in y equals 11, because where they cross is what you're looking for. So you know they'll cross here and here in those two spots at 11, but really I want to figure out when, how much fertilizer will yield that amount of bushels. So here we go. Second, calculate intersection. And you can do either one first, right? You just got to get close to it, and it's going to ask you for the first, second curves. So here we go. Enter first, second curve, and all I'm doing is hit enter 3 times. And my first intersection is at 7.657. And then if I do it again, second, calculate, and notice I'm using these same features over and over from video to video, so you should be getting used to watching me do it. But again, please pause the videos and make sure you can do it. Now, I move my little bug or my gnat over here because I'm interested in this intersection. Otherwise, it'll give me the same one. So enter. And my other intersection point then is, 48.4, I'll round up, 8. Okay, and notice both cases, my y is 11 bushels. And if I bounce back over to my question, and hint, you'll see this on a midterm, that's all you have to do. So x is, what do we say? 7.657, or x is equal to 48, and I rounded that 0.48. Now notice this is pounds of fertilizer. So you need to be able to communicate what you're talking about. Now, if I wanted to do that by hand, again, you could move the 11 over, and you could say 0 equals, 0.02x squared plus. You could do all this. It's going to be, I don't know, negative let me do it. I can do the 7 part. I'm just not that good. So 11, let's see, minus 3.576. So minus 7.424. And all I'm doing is subtracting 11 from both sides. And you could use a quadratic formula in this case if that's the method that you found or like to use better. But again, it will still give you this. And I'm going to ask you, which one would you use? I don't know. You tell me. What's the better idea? Use a bunch of fertilizer or use less fertilizer? Because there's a smart answer here. And if I would use less fertilizer, that means you'd have more for later, right? So really, if I wanted to predict, you can use either one. That's the correct answer. But I'll follow it up with another question and then say, hey, which one would you choose? And hopefully, you can say if you want to waste fertilizer, pick this one. But 7.565 pounds is probably better to choose because you're not wasting it. And if you're not going to get any more bushels for it, why use more fertilizer if you don't have to? So those are the kind of questions that are coming up on the midterm and the final. Keep practicing. Great job.